Hello weirdos, welcome to my channel. My name is EmmaAbe and today we are going to be doing a book haul. I was not expecting to be able to do one in quarantine, so I guess I'm going to call this the coronavirus book haul. I didn't get a whole ton of books, but I want to give a very important shout out. Most of the books that I did get was because this one lady in my hometown is getting ready to move and leave her home. She went through all of her books. She put them out on her porch and she said, anyone who wants them, come get them. These are when they're going to be there. Here's what I have. We went and picked up some. This was back in March 15th. That was the first or second day of the shelter in place order here in Chicago. So I wanted to give a massive shout out to that lady because I don't want to name names because I respect your privacy. Thank you so much, because most of the books that I'm going to show you I actually got from that lady for free of charge, and these books I think are amazing and they are in amazing quality. I'm just so thankful that you would do that. Let's go to the books. Disclaimer, I probably will be mispronouncing things, so be ready for that. And actually, I'm going to start off the video with books that were not the books that she donated. The first books that I'm going to show you were owned by my parents. We went through a bunch of our books that we owned. They said that they didn't want these books, and I was like, well, I do, so I'm gonna steal them. I will let you know when I transition to the books that the lady graciously donated to the community. First book is The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. This is a classic. I had another copy of this classic, but this one I think just looks nicer. The other copy I did have I got from 7th grade when we had to read this, but I think that this version is better. So I have read this. This does have an audiobook because it's a classic. As a general rule, most classics do have audiobooks. I remember really enjoying this, but I had read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn a couple of years previous to reading this, and I just enjoyed The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn more. I'm sorry. This is a very simple story about a boy's life. He's a very rambunctious boy and he gets into trouble. At one point, he gets stuck in a cave. That was crazy. This just takes place pre-Civil War, so you have that as the cultural backdrop to this book. The next book I picked up was The Martian by Andy Weir. This is a book that my dad and I actually read together. He thought I would like it, and so then I read that. I read this in high school, my junior year. I really enjoyed this. I thought it was very funny. I think it helped me fall in love with science fiction that is very heavy on the science. I don't know what the premise of this book is. There is a mission to Mars, and they're all gearing up ready to head back to Earth. This astronaut Mark gets stranded. There's a storm as they're trying to leave and he gets left behind. So this book is all about him trying to survive on the climate of Mars. And I really enjoyed that. I literally loved that the author would just spend pages detailing the calculations that he had to do in order to figure out how many potatoes he had to eat in order to sustain his life. And my dad and I actually did go see the movie together. This does have an audiobook. The next book I acquired is Cincinnati Goes to War. Who is this by? There's sections, and the first section, Queen City and World War II, was written by Alan M. Winkler, and the last section was A Soldier's Story, Life of Bob Towater, was written by Karen Regina. This was compiled by the Cincinnati Historical Society. I don't remember when we got this, but this does not have an audiobook. I think we got this at this museum right here. I like to call it the radio. I believe it's called like the Museum Center. Look me, I know my Cincinnati history. It's all about how Cincinnati dealt with World War II and what actions were taken, what changed, how life changed. It's very short. I kind of like this. It has the text and then it'll have pictures. I have not read this, but I saw it and I thought that it would be a really nice addition to my little Cincinnati travel section. This next book I was so excited to find. That is The Song of Solomon by Toni Morrison. When I saw this, I freaked out. I literally was just like, oh my god, Mom, I cannot believe that we have this. I immediately put this in my pile and told my parents, I was like, you cannot have this is mine. Ask my mom, she'll confirm it's true. Anyway, I love Toni Morrison. I loved Her Beloved. I haven't read anything else by her. I don't actually own any books by her, which is frustrating, but now I do. This does have an audiobook. I don't really know what this is about. This is all about a man named Milkman Dead. He spends his life trying to fly. I'm so excited to read this eventually, because what I love about Toni Morrison's books is, well, number one, her writing is just brilliant. She is a brilliant writer. Also, the magical realism that she is able to infuse into her books to just create a wonderful story that is captivating. It does have an audiobook. I'm happy. Next book I acquired, again, from like my parents' library down to my library, is An Actor Prepares by Konstantin Stanislavski. I'm trying, it's so hard. This is a book really all about acting and theater, and I was super involved with that growing up, and it was actually gifted to me by one of my acting coaches slash music coaches slash, I was really heavily, we worked a lot together. And there's a personalized note in there that was really sweet. This was given to me on my 13th birthday. So if that gives you any idea of the relationship that we had, I'm 20 now, we still have like a relationship. My mom found this like amongst the books downstairs, and I was like, well, I will bring it upstairs so it can have its proper home in my collection. I'm going to be honest, I've not read this. This does have an audiobook. If I know anything about the woman who gave this to me, it's that this is a really good resource. Unfortunately, I never wound up reading it. It might be something I revisit later. It was just very nice to find this as we were going through books during quarantine. Alright, the next book is The Shining by Stephen King. This was one of my dad's copies, and my dad actually got rid of a bunch of Stephen King books, but I was like, you know what, I have The Shining on audio, so I might as well have the actual hard copy. Oh my god, the croquet mallet. This is a book I read last fall. If you do not know what this book is about, this is a book about this family, pictured here. The dad is given a job to go look after this hotel. It's Stephen King, so spooky ooky things start happening, and this hotel and everything kind of starts going wrong. I liked it. I wouldn't say I thought it was scary. This next book is The Evaders, the story of the most amazing mass escape of World War II by Leo Heaps. This is a nonfiction book, and this does not have a audiobook. I had not heard anything about this, but I found it downstairs in the library, and my mom put it in my pile because she thought that I would enjoy this. This is a story about a bunch of British soldiers that were trapped behind German lines in World War II in Holland, I believe. It happened after the Battle of Arnhem. The author himself was one of these so-called evaders, people who are able to escape from behind enemy lines. This tells his story, but also lots of the other people who were able to escape, but also the people of Holland who were helping them and the danger that they put themselves into. I think that this sounds really interesting. Unfortunately, I won't be able to read it anytime soon because just World War II things are very hard for me to read, especially Holocaust things. They're just very hard for me to read right now. I tried watching the new series Nazi Hunters, and I watched one episode and I couldn't take it. It was very hard. One day I hope to get to read all of the stuff like on this part of my shelf that has to deal with this subject matter, but not today, not anytime soon. But I have all of these other books that I have to read, so yeah, plenty of stuff to read before then. The next books will be the books that the wonderful lady from my hometown donated. I got a bunch of books, and I hope that she's happy that I took a bunch of books. We limited ourselves to one bag because we didn't want to be excessive, but we also wanted to be cognizant of it that this woman would like to have these books gone because she is moving house. I'm kind of going to do similar to things that I've done in the past, where if a book is a part of a series, I'm going to talk to them as one entry in total rather than them individually, because otherwise I will get really repetitive. The first two books I picked up are from the Percy Jackson series because I was reading it at the time. At the time I was just about to start The Titan's Curse. Later I was going to get to the Last Olympian, and we had already had the Battle of the Labyrinth, so I didn't need to pick that one out. This one is the third book in the series, and this one is the fifth book in the series. So now I have all the books but the first book. Percy Jackson it's an amazing book series. It's a trip down memory lane. It was written by Rick Riordan, and so it was something that I grew up on, although I'm gonna admit I don't really remember much from The Last Olympian when I first read it in elementary school, and I very quickly gave up on these books after this just because I wanted them all to be out, and I was very angry that they were not all out. But yeah, these books both do have audiobooks. They're not the best audiobooks that I've ever heard, but they are really good. It's just some audiobooks are really hard to contend with, like the Inheritance audiobooks. Those are really good. I'm very happy I have these. These books follow a boy named Percy Jackson and his friends Annabeth and Grover, and also Rachel later, as Percy Jackson discovers that he is not human. He is a demigod. He also figures out that he is a son of one of the big three, mainly Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. He is the son of Poseidon, and then he realizes that there is a prophecy that he may or may not fulfill, and I love it because it is it's told very much like a Greek story. An inspiration from books like the Odyssey, and that's sort of how these books are written, which I like. The next book is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This is the second book in the Hunger Games trilogy. Although, can we really call it a trilogy anymore because of the new book that's coming out? This does have an audiobook, and I believe I have the other two, so this is the only one that we were missing. This is sort of the book series that inspired the whole dystopian craze in YA. I first read this book series in 6th grade or 5th grade. I don't really remember, but I remember really enjoying it, and then I reread it last year because I was bored. This book picks up after the first book, and it turns out that there's going to be another Hunger Games, obviously, because there's a Hunger Games every year. This Hunger Games is special because it is a quarter quell, or one that happens every 25 years. The twist with this quarter quell is that the people competing will be picked from the existing victors, and she is the only victor from District 12. So we all know what that means. Alright, the next book I got is, don't laugh, but that is Gardening for Dummies, the reference for the rest of us by Michael McKenzie, Bill Martin, and the editors of the National Gardening Association. I'm not very good at gardening, although I did do it for research once more. Since we are in COVID-19, we bought some seeds just in case there are major issues, and this is why we got this gardening book. This does not have an audiobook, I believe. It would just have a nice handy-dandy helpful resource for us when we try and figure out how to grow food so that our family might eat them if COVID-19 gets really, really bad. Much worse than it is now. Sorry for that somber note. Let's pick it up with the next book, and that is Paper Towns by John Green. I really haven't read any of John Green's books, although if you ask one of my best friends, I was supposed to read Looking for Alaska or something like that. Was it Paper Towns? It might have been Paper Towns, but I didn't read it. I straight up did not read it. And then I had to give her back her copy. I don't really know much about this book. This book is about a character named Q and his friendship with this girl named Margot, and Margot disappears. Q tries to go find her. I do like John Green as a creator. I definitely did not binge his crash course videos at all in high school when prepping for APUSH tests or any other AP tests. This does have an audiobook, and I picked this up along with the next book because I'm going to be a host for the temporary readathon. Has anyone seen the movie for this? Because I haven't. Moving on. The next book is also by John Green, and this is An Abundance of Katherines. I don't really know anything about it. This is about a boy named Colin, and he always winds up dating girls named Catherine, but always gets dumped. And then there is some sort of road trip involved. Why did they put a 1 on his name? Author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Fault in Our Stars. I have not read The Fault in Our Stars. Have any of you read The Fault in Our Stars? Should I read The Fault in Our Stars? Let me know. Again, I picked this up because of the contemporary readathon, and I thought that maybe this could count, and I just needed some books, and this does have an audiobook. I think all of John Green's books does because they're bestsellers. Ooh, look, it looks like there's going to be math. I don't know why, but that makes me excited. I like math. Fun. Haha. Oh, more math. Ooh, that'll be great. That'll be fun. I might read that because of math. The next two are the Mark of Athena and the House of Hades, also by Rick Riordan. This is book 3, and this is book 4 of the sort of sequel trilogy to the Percy Jackson series. This is the series that I am currently working through. I just finished the Lost Hero, which is the first book in the series, so I do have the second book in the series checked out, and then I'll be able to read and follow along with these. I'm very excited to get to these. Again, this follows another prophecy, as after the Percy Jackson series, they fulfill the prophecy, and then there is another great prophecy that is revealed. This is going to follow, completing that second great prophecy. In the start of book 1, we know that Percy has gone missing. We do not know where Percy is, and Annabeth is very concerned, as any good girlfriend would be. But there is this new character, Jason, and for some reason, he doesn't call Zeus Zeus. He calls Zeus Jupiter. What the fuck's up with that? We've been introduced to some fun new characters, like Leo. Love Leo. He is adorable. And Piper. So those are the 2 new characters that we get, the 2 new main characters. Leo and Piper are both half-bloods. That's the series. These obviously do have audiobooks. I'm very excited to have these. I'm going to need to go on a quest to finish getting these, because I would like to have all of the Rick Riordan books. This next book I got is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini, and this is the person who wrote the Kite Runner, and I have not read the Kite Runner, although it has been recommended to me. This talks about, what is it, like the last 30 years of Afghani history? So this covers stuff from the Soviet invasion all the way up to the Taliban in the rise of the Taliban to after the fall of the Taliban. This is a novel, so I don't really want to go in knowing more than that. Again, I picked this up because of the contemporary readathon, because it might cover one of the topics of read a book that has a hard-hitting topic. This does have an audiobook. Next 3 books are these. I saw that she had a lot of Rick Riordan stuff, and I decided to pick most of that up. This is the Kane Chronicles, which is the books that were inspired by Egyptian mythology. I did not finish the entire book series. I only read The Red Pyramid, which is the first one. So we have The Red Pyramid, which is the first book in the series. Then we have The Throne of Fire, which is the second book in the series. And then we have The Serpent's Shadow. I am not sure if there is more than these 3. I'm actually going to look that up. Okay, yes, that is. There's only 3 books in this series. I, again, have only really read the first one. I believe I read it in 7th grade. I don't believe I had much desire to continue with them, but I'm decided that I'm going to give these a chance. Again, they all have audiobooks. It is bedtime. It's fine. I'll go to sleep eventually. This kind of follows a very similar plot from the Percy Jackson book. It follows these 2 siblings this time. They are the hosts of the gods Horus and Isis. I do remember there was a scene in the Red Pyramid where they're like exploring ruins, and I forget what character says it, but they're talking about Egyptian history, and the kids bring up Tutankhamun, and the dude gets really pissed off, and he's like, Tutankhamun, do you want to hear about it? Actually awesome pharaoh? And goes off about Ramses, which I thought was very funny. The next books I got are also in a series, and that is The Girl Who Played with Fire by Stieg Larsson. This is book 2 in like the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. And this is The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by the same author. And this is book 3, although it doesn't say anywhere on these books that these are in a book series. I just looked it up. She did have the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, but someone had already picked it up by the time I got there. But I figured that book is very popular, so I'll be able to find it and add it to this collection, no problem. I don't really know anything about this book series. I've just been seeing the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo all over, and it's kind of like inundated that I decided that I would pick these up. The first 3 books in the series were published before the author died or shortly after, and it was supposed to be like a 6-book series, but unfortunately the author died. They wound up getting someone to ghostwrite the rest of the series. This was a fiction series that I might want to try. Again, I know nothing about Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and these do have audiobooks. Those are these books. Well, that is it for me today. Sorry I broke your promise in telling you guys that I wouldn't really have any more book hauls because of the coronavirus. I think truly now there won't really be any more because I'll have to buy them, and I don't like paying full price for things. I'm tired. I'm very tired. It's not even that late. It's not even midnight. Like, what the heck? I just want to say a thank you to the lovely woman who donated those books to the community, and by extension me. That was a really lovely, selfless act for all of the readers around here. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. All of those good things that you're supposed to do. I'm gonna go to sleep. I'm tired. Video! What is his name? Stop talking to me. Did you just hear that? Oh my god, we like fight over that bad. So